Good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir. Good
Yes,
morning.
yes, madam. I am audible now. Just to check the audio, I hope.
Yes, sir, it's audible.
ಗುಡ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್. ಈ ಕಡೆ ನೋಡಕ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ ಶಕ್ತಿ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಆ,
Good morning and a hearty welcome, big and warm enough to encompass you all. Thank you everyone for finding time and visiting our today's national webinar. I, Pooja Medwanki, Professor, KLE Society's Rajalakkoda Science Institute Autonomous Pedagami, extend a gracious and cordial welcome on behalf of our institution. I am profusely honored and privileged to take this opportunity to welcome our resource person of the day, Dr. Hanumantappa V, Assistant Professor, Department of Life Science, Krishna Jayanti College, Autonomous, Bengaluru. It's a great pleasure to have you on board, sir. Welcome. I also welcome our beloved principal, Dr. Srimati J.S. Kaulekar, Madam. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Professor S.D. Nanjapnavar, Sir, Life Member, KLE Institution. Dr. Satisha MP, IQAC Coordinator and Life Member, KLE Institution. Coordinator of Biotechnology and Convener, Srimati D.S. Shatta, Madam. Organizing Secretary, Srimati S.N. Inamda, Madam. Technical Partner, Srimati P.C. Kamath, Madam. Faculty members and all my dear participants. Once again, I welcome you all to our national webinar on Nanotechnology for Sustainable Development, organized by Department of Biotechnology in association with IQAC. Nanotechnology has emerged as a versatile platform that could provide efficient, cost-effective, and environmentally sustainable challenges facing society. This volume is devoted to the utilization of nanotechnology to improve or achieve sustainable development. To know more about this, stay tuned with us. I have a few important notes to make before we start with the program. Kindly switch off microphone and webcam so that no disturbance is caused during the conduct. And if you have any questions during presentation, please type them into the chat box in your control panel. We'll bring them up during interactive session. Thank you. Now, to begin with, I request our beloved principal, Dr. Srimati J.S. Kaulekar, Madam, to take over the platform and address the audience. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all to the national webinar on nanotechnology for sustainable development, an IQAC initiative organized by Department of Biotechnology of KLE Societies, Raja Lakhamgoda Science Institute, Autonomous Belagavi. Related to our society, our KLE Society, well known for dissemination of quality education to the needy, was established in the year 1916 by 7 dedicated teachers called Saptarishis and has been serving thousands of people in the field of education since several decades. Presently, under the progressive and spectacular chairmanship of Dr. Prabhakar Kore sir, our society has grown into a remarkable educational organization of 270 plus institutions. Our college, Raja Lakhamgoda Science Institute Autonomous Belagavi, established in the year 1935, is one among them. The degree section in science was inaugurated in the year 1944 by Sir C.V. Raman, the Nobel laureate. We are accredited thrice by NAC at A grade and our autonomous institute since the academic year 2013. We offer 2 UG programs, that is BSc and BCA, with different certificate courses and 10 NSQF certificate courses approved by UGC. We offer 3 PG programs, MSc Physics, MSc Chemistry, and MSc Mathematics. This current year, we have adopted CBCS system. We mainly focus on the quality education and prepare the students to achieve competencies to face the global challenges. So we make our students always look beyond horizon and learn something advanced and innovative. And as you all know, today, nanotechnology is seen as a new revolution. This field, which flourished between 60s and 80s, has surged in the last 2 decades with a blooming global market. Nanotechnology and its microscopic universe offers gigantic possibilities for the contemporary science and industry. And we all know that today the world is facing great challenges in meeting rising demands for the basic commodities like food, water, and energy, finished goods like cell phones, cars, airplanes, and many others, and services like shelter, healthcare, and employment, while reducing and minimizing the impact of human activities on Earth's global environment and climate. Nanotechnology has emerged as a versatile platform that could provide efficient, cost effective, and environmentally acceptable solutions to the global sustainability challenges facing society. There are several applications of nanotechnology, such as nanomedicine, nanoelectronics, nanotechnology in energy and environment, nanomaterial, nanotechnology in textiles, nanotechnology in food, cosmetics, in transportation, in national safety, and many more. Hence, to learn more about nanotechnology for sustainable development, Department of Biotechnology of a college has organized today's webinar. For this webinar, we have with us a very distinguished speaker, Dr. Hanumantappa B., Assistant Professor, Department of Life Science, Christu Jayanti College, Autonomous, Bengaluru. Sir, I, on behalf of our management, all the participants, entire faculty and student community, and on my own behalf, I welcome you to the today's national webinar and also thank you for accepting our invitation to grace the occasion. I extend a warm and a hearty welcome to all the esteemed participants of the webinar. Hearty welcome to all the esteemed members of management. Welcome to Professor Nanjapnar, Life Member and Member Secretary of KLE, Dr. Satisha MP, IQAC and NAC Coordinator, and Life Member, Member Secretary of KLE. Welcome to the entire organizing team, all my staff and students. Yes, nanotechnology, a small solution for the big problem. It's a powerful profession which aids the development of products with futuristic performance. All field sectors of life will be surely affected by this era. So dear friends, make the best positive use of it so that surely you will harvest the best from this webinar. Welcoming you all once again, I conclude. Thank you one and all.
Thank you so much, madam, for a gracious welcome. Now I request Coordinator of Biotechnology, Srimati Diya Shatta madam, to introduce our today's resource person. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning, one and all. It gives me a proud privilege to introduce today's chief guest, Dr. Hanumantappa B. Sir, currently working as Assistant Professor, Department of Life Science, Christu Jayanti College, Bengaluru. Before joining to this college, Sir worked as lecturer at Samara University, Ethiopia. Sir has completed his MSc and PhD from Gulbarga University, and Sir has also done his postdoc at University of Polytechnica, Spain. Sir has received many national and international fellowships and also received many awards. To mention a few, a Best Teacher Award, Best Research Award, Global Teacher Award, and Educator Excellence Award, and so many. Along with this, Sir attended and presented many papers in national and international conferences. Sir also published many papers and the articles in many national and international journals. With this brief introduction, I present before you Dr. Hanumantappa B. Welcome you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Now I request our resource person, Dr. Hanumantappa B., to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for a nice introduction. At the outset, first of all, I thank to the organizing committee for giving this opportunity to me And really, I feel very proud that today we are part of this webinar to enlighten our students. Okay, let me to share the screen. Screen is visible now, madam?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning to everyone. Today's seminar is, no, sorry, webinar is, the sustainable development of nanotechnology. With a brief introduction, so what do you mean by this nanotechnology and what are the content research in currently the nanotechnology and an history of this nanotechnology who has proposed the concept of this nanotechnology. And as the madam is mentioning, like, nanotechnology, that the particles are in nano size, but their solution in service to the environment is and the welfare of the mankind is huge. That's why it's gaining a lot of importance in within a short period. And in my talk, I will be going to talk a very fundamental aspects of nanotechnology. Okay, so how you can take up a small projects in nanotechnology, and also finally, what is the applications of this nanotechnology wherever in a different diversified field, how this nanotechnology is emerged and also and entered to gain a lot of importance within a short period of time. So these aspects we will be going to cover in this talk. Okay, coming to the nanotechnology, what do you mean by this nanotechnology? Just you split the word nano and technology, totally they are a different aspects. Nano is like it is a one unit or it is a bit of 1 billionth of in a meter. Like if you come to the metric, that is a measurement system, all of we know like in 1 meter measurement, like in what will be the length of 1 meter, everyone we know that in that 1 meter, if you split that into in a billion parts, so in that like 1 billionth part, so what small that measurement, that will be the nano. What is the meaning of this nano? Then coming to the technology, what do you mean by this technology? Means, the use of techniques or tools, or we are using the knowledge to make a particular matter into a nanoscale, and in order to perform a specific function. Like we are using the knowledge, or we are using the some machines we are going to use, or we are using the some of the techniques or technology to synthesize or to form a product, and that product have a desired functions. Like whenever we are doing any research or whenever we are using some knowledge to synthesize something, it has a goal. So even in a biotechnology also, if you take a biotechnology, the exact definition for the biotechnology, bio and technology, means we are using the knowledge, techniques, okay, all this technology to the biological field, whatever it may be, botany, zoology, microbiology, in biological aspects, to come up with perform a particular a specific function in an advanced, and also to give a lot of solution for that. That's why together we refers as a biotechnology. So here also nanotechnology means nano is a as small as 1 billionth of a meter. Remember throughout my talk, like what you mean by this nano, wherever I use the nano materials, nanoparticle, nanoscience, nanotechnology, means that it will be going to belongs to so 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. In between that, in a couple of minutes we will be going to discuss in detail about this. So okay, so what is the meaning of nanotechnology? So making these measurement of particles which are belongs to 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer, that is the 1 billionth of in 1 meter. And what is the knowledge machines which we are going to use to produce or synthesize such a particles or such a materials to perform a specific function, together we are going to call it as a nanotechnology. Okay, coming to more the the clearance, that like how small these nanoparticles anything which is maybe a natural. I'm not going to restrict, like we are always synthesizing the nanoparticles in the lab. There are a natural nanoparticles are there and man-made nanoparticles are there. Okay, how small these nanoparticles, look at here in the scale. So water molecule is there and glucose molecule is there, antibodies are there, viruses are there, bacteria, red blood cells, whatever it may be, if you take. And even last finally they have taken the nano tubes also. Okay, they have given an example. This scale, no, it will go on increasing and this side it will be going to decreasing. Look at here the water molecules, it will be like a zero point 0.1 nanometer in its size. And look at the glucose molecules, that is a 1 nanometer. And antibodies, you look at the measurement, it is a 10 nanometer. And viruses, you look at here, it is an 100 nanometer. And we will stop here. Why? Because here upwards, like behind this 100 nanometer, whether it is a man-made or natural things, whatever it may be, the particles, they will not come under the nanotechnology. That's what I told, the nanomaterials which are belong to the size of this 1 to 100 nanometer. So now it is clear that how small these nanoparticles is. Any material, natural materials, or we use the technology or knowledge or some machines we have used to synthesize a man-made particles which size is belongs to the 1 to 100 nanometer. Such a particles we are going to call it as a nanoparticle. Why we have to reduce the size of the particle? What is the need of that? So that we will study in the general properties of nanotechnology. When the size of these materials goes in between the less than 100 nanometer, like what are the changes in that particle it will be going to take place, and it will be going to make that particle as a nanoparticle. And in terms that nanoparticle, how it will be going to applicable in a various diversified field. Okay, so they have given a one best example is nanotubes, nanoparticles. We will study all these nanoparticles with a few examples with the application. So in this slide, I am trying to explain how small, to show how small these nanoparticles and what are the some biological particles which are belongs to this nanoscale. Okay, coming to the definition of this nanotechnology, that's what nanotechnology is the study of this manipulating this matter. So any matters, any particles which we are going to manipulate, means alter that structure. Okay, whether in one dimensional or two dimensional, we are trying to alter the structure, manipulate the structure of that particular matter in an atomic level. It is must and should, and it is essential. We have to do. How we are going to, that is a method of nanoparticle synthesis, whether we will do with the biological things or whether we will do by physical, like some using some machines, or we will use by chemical, by adding the certain chemicals we will be going to change the 1D or 2D 3D dimension of that particle. That is a different method of approaches, but it has to be manipulated a particular matter at an atomic level, so that its size, once you manipulate, again I cannot say the nanoparticles. Like many people say, if they are taking the research on that, if any particles which are synthesized, if just you follow the protocol, we cannot say, are the researcher in the field of science and technology, they will be not going to accept for that, because later you have to do a lot of characterization, whether the size, dimension, like in what way it is in a nanoscale and all, we have to do the characterization. Then again, the nanotechnology we refers to the construction and engineering. Again, same, the manipulating of a particular matter at a atomic scale with a particular functional, because we need that nanoparticles for a particular function, because we will assign a particular function for that nanoparticles. Okay, then the same nanometer is 1 billionth of that meter. Like you see how small this is, already I explained it. Then once the definition is clear and how small these nanoparticles, whether it is a natural nanoparticles or man-made nanoparticle, so definition and even size of these nanoparticles are clear, like we will go back, or just you study the history of this nano science or a nanotechnology, who has proposed this for the first time. Like for the first time, this concept was proposed by Dr. Richard in 1959. A famous physics professor is, and when they are working with a couple of experiments with the some microscopic instruments and all. And these microscopic instruments, the nanotechnology is not invented all these things. These microscopic, like when they are inventing of in scanning tunnel microscopes, or if they are working with this carbon 60 this the particles, and when they are synthesizing, and they noticed, or they have a certain particles, okay, they have a different characteristic, like a surface and volume ratio of that particular particles are changing, and they have a different peculiar characteristic. So that made to the scientists, like why these particles, and what is the size of this particle, how we can observe these particles, what type of microscope we can use to characterize these particles. So in future these particles how we can use in environment, medicine and all different, like later part it will be going to emerge. uh, for those particles, they have named as a nanoparticles, and enter this science or a branch of this biology they named as a nanotechnology, that is in 1974 by the Chain, one of the scientists. Then they proposed a theory that there is a statement that there is a plenty of room at the bottom. Why it is told like a plenty of rooms at the bottom means, like at the bottom means like very small, even if you go at a molecular level, because in any materials we are going to change at an atomic level. So that's why from the bottom, from the beginning, there are so many rooms are there, means there are a lot of chances to do a lot of in research, and we can do the changes in that, and we can make use of for the solution of environmental problems, and also for the welfare of the mankind. Then coming to the general properties of these nanoparticles, any nanoparticles, whether it is a natural, say even a DNA itself is a, like it belongs to nanoparticle, or viruses if you take, that is also will belongs to the nanoparticles. Everyone is talking about the nanoparticles, and even we will in one slide we will study that how the journey of this nanoparticle with year wise, even in India, what is the scenario, and also what are the applications, why within a short period of time this sector of science and technology has gained the importance, we will discuss. Okay, coming to the general properties of these nano particles. So these nano materials, they are structurally they are very less in 100 nanometer. The entire this nanoparticles no need to be like in a 100 nanometer, even a one dimension, even one dimension of that particle, or even two dimension of that particle, or even three dimension of that particle is belongs to this size, that is a less than 100 nanometer. At least one dimension it should have, so that we can consider that as a nanoparticle. You measure that nanoparticle in sem and tem, then it should at least one dimension or two dimension it should belong to this range, then we can consider such a particle as a nanoparticle. And according to their dimension, like if it is a one dimension we can use for the coating, if it is a two dimension we can use for the carbon nanoparticle synthesis and all. So like that depending upon this dimension and its nano size, we can have, you can decide also which it belongs to the for application. Then these nanomaterials, so depending upon their dimensions, we will be going to use for the applications. And these materials, this volume and surface area, it will be going to change when it is changed at an atomic level. It is it belongs to that nanoscale and all. And the structure of these materials, so where the dimensions are ranging from 1 to 100, then which we can have when wavelength and light of that particular microscope. Then coming to the nanoscience. So what is this nanoscience? Like a science which is involving all this synthesis, characterization and also application part. So what are the activity which we are going to do? Synthesis of these nanoparticles, structural elucidation of this nanoparticle. We will do SEM analysis, DEM analysis, we will do spectrophotometric analysis also we will do, and we will do the characterization of that. Once it is confirmed or the size is belongs to less than 100 nanometer, then we will evaluate these particles for the biological activities, or like in a research, any even environmental problems to solve also we can evaluate. So that all branch together we can call it as a nanoscience. And nanotechnology, again it is same, like designing a characterization, production or application of a particular techniques at in a one dimension or two dimension for the a particular performing a function in future we can use for the application. Then, so in year wise, if you look at this area, that is a nanotechnology, the early 2000 centuries, also we can see that it is a beginning of a commercialization of application of this nanotechnology. Even though it is emerged very long back, but people started to notice the importance of this nanotechnology in early 2000 century. So application of this nanotechnology is limited, because it is not in every this nanoparticles or everything which we can use go for the nano and all, because everything is has a limitation. But still within the limitation, this branch of science has achieved a lot of importance. Its application, I repeat once again, that is the application of this nanotechnology is limited, even though it is emerged, even it is entered into the physical science, chemical science and biological science, and people are using these nanoparticles in a overcome with a lot of applications. We will discuss more on this application part. And not only this, the silver nanoparticles or copper nanoparticles, gold nanoparticles, they are synthesizing. They may be synthesizing by using the biological system. Say for example, some microbes they will be going to use, or a physical method of nanoparticles also we can have with some machines and all. But these nanoparticles they will be also going to use in an antimicrobial activity if they are a pathogenic, and even they will use for the coating of some of the surfaces, and even in the textile industry just water repel and all. So some of the examples I have to give is like you might have seen some of the textiles, even if you put a drop of water on that, it will be going to rotate on that, and it will be not at all absorbed. Why? Because the nano surface, that is what that cloth is, a nano surface. Then even in naturally it is a man-made, like a textile industry they are used the nanotechnology, that's why this water is not at all absorbing. But one more best example we can give in nature, that all of you know the lotus, right? A lotus leaf, a drop of water, it will be not at all going to attach on that. Why? Just to take the leaf of that and to do the stem analysis of that leaf surface, what it contains. Okay, so why it will be not at all going to absorb that water? So why this water drop will be going to rolling? They are like that. There are so many examples are there in the nature. We can identify that how these nanoparticles, everything is there in the nature. Only thing is we have to identify, but we are late that we identified. So such a examples I can give more in nature. We feel that in nanotechnology we did a cutting-edge research and we synthesized these nanoparticles and all, but just we copied the what we have already in a nature. So I can give such a examples more during the application part. Okay, coming to like a different class, all of we are, when we are studying, we will study macromolecules, micromolecules, and now it is added the nanomolecules, or instead of that nanomolecules, yes, of course we can call it as a nanomolecules, or we will call it as a nanoparticles also, if it is not a like a molecular label. Okay, fine. This macro here they have given the apple, or they are given a person, and that the size, if you take all that, it belongs to the macro. But as we are a biology background, we can give like a macromolecules, proteins if you take, proteins if you take, carbohydrates if you take, okay, lipids if you take, they are all belongs to the macromolecules, because they are in a larger number when compared to the micro. So coming to the next category is a micromolecules. That micro here they have given the diameter of the human hair, how length of width of this air, and also they have given the E. coli bacteria size also. But we are since from the life science background, like in a micromolecules, we can when we have a macromolecules, these carbohydrates, proteins, they have a monomers, right? Like a proteins, if you take an amino acids are the monomers. Here micromolecules means amino acids will be belongs to this micromolecule, okay, and protein will be the macromolecules. Okay, so remember this. With this only, like we will be going to explain how these nanoparticles are synthesized. Okay, bottom up and a different approaches. Then coming to the third category, nanomolecules or nanoparticles. Okay, so we DNA if you take, and also carbon 60 if you take, or if you take this nanotubes, carbon nanotubes, all these are the particles which the size is less than 100 nanometer, and they will be going to belongs to this category. So in this slide, what I mean to convey for you people is like how the scale and a category of this macro, micro and nano category, and what are the man-made and the natural things which they are going to belongs to. Because in nanotechnology always we will talk about the scale, properties of this nanoparticle, the method of synthesizing the nanoparticle, characterization of this nanoparticle, finally application. We have to look at the slot where exactly these nanoparticles are synthesized and characterized nanoparticle will be going to fit for the service, whether in an environmental or in a physical or in a chemical or in a biological. That's why we always like take care of the properties, size, synthesis, method of synthesis and applications of this nanoparticle in different field. Okay, so coming to the timeline, like if you go through in detail about in a year wise, like a first generation, second generation, third generation and fourth generation yearly, I told already early in 2000. So application of this nanotechnology as recognized and it is emerged, but still even though it is limited, but still it has again a lot of importance. Like in a first generation in 2000 century, during that time, so this they are not really a nanoparticle, or not so many of actively these nanoparticles are using and in an application part, like a passive nanostructures they are going to use. Say for example, aerosols, like a small particles which are in a droplet things which in an air, that's what we call it as an aerosols, and even colloidals. So these are all belongs to the first generation. Okay, next coming to the second generation during 2005. Okay, so during that time active nanostructures, during that time, like within a period of 5 years, the people, those who are involved in the research in nanotechnology and all, they are trying to be an a very active nanostructures particles will be involved in the applications. So they are going to have a bioactive and health effective some nanoparticles, they are synthesized, they characterized, and they are going to started using in a different way. Where? When in 2005. Okay, this is, we can call it as an active. Previously it is a passive. Say for example targeted drugs, see nanoparticles, they will be going to provide such a best services which we cannot do. Even the scientists day and night they are working, sometimes we are unable to deliver it some of the drugs to a particular targeted cells. Unfortunately what happens, I want to treat the cancer cells, but the drugs will be going to affect to the side by cancer cells also. Okay, healthy cells also. That is one of the the disadvantage, but we can use the nano particles coated with the drug to treat the cancer and all. So such a the development in an active nanostructures, they developed for the bioactive health effects. Okay, targeted drugs and also bio devices. So some of the devices which they are going to utilize for the diagnosis purpose and all, they are started to using by coating the antibodies to the nanoparticles and all. Then physicochemical activeness, 3D transistors also there, because nanotechnology, I'm the person from the life science, but a nanotechnology they will use even in a physics physical science or physics background, and even a chemical science, that is a chemistry background, or even material science department also. Because they will use their own way of a research, like a physical materials or machines to synthesize the nanoparticles, or to prepare build some of the physical oriented, that surface coating or even electric field also, if you take, so to prepare the transistor amplifiers and all, they will be going to synthesize, or they will be going to construct by using these nanoparticles. Yes, then coming to the 2010 and another 5 years of incubation period, the nanotechnology again it is developed, used in a system, that is a nano system within the system. Like see how the development of this nanotechnology from the passive, active, and it is now intercalated into the system. Okay, so in the system, what they are started, the guiding this assimilation, 3D networking, and also a lot of this architecture and robotics things which they are going to synthesize in 2010. So now the nanotechnology, these nanoparticles are entered into the system. Okay, this is what like we can call it as an evolutionary. Evolutionary means like not our evolutionary. This is an evolutionary of nanotechnology subject. Then coming to the 2015, another 5 years if you take, because every 5 years we are analyzing this nanotechnology. If you come to the another 5 years, that is in 2015 to 20, the nanotechnology is emerged into a molecular level. Okay, so molecular devices, designing, and even atomic level it is devising and engineering we are doing. We are engineering or we are manipulating the nanoparticles to perform a specific functions, whether in a physical science or chemical science or in biological science, in which field we are going to use an application part of this nanotechnology. Fine, coming to the tools and technology. So what are the different tools and technology which developed, or the tools and the techniques itself they will be going to synthesize, or come this picture of nanotechnology to everyone. Say for example, if you come to the tools and technology, there are n number of tools and techniques they are going to use in nanotechnology in a synthesis, characterization, and modification to design, or even for the application part. But to mention few is people those who are involving in the research in nanotechnology, definitely they will be going to use some of the tools and technology, that is atomic force microscope we are going to use, scanning tunnel microscope we are going to use. Okay, and also this nano lithographies such as optical lithography, x-ray lithography, and all these the technology developed the tools, and that we are going to use. The probe of the tip of the tube will be going to give and what exactly size with the scale. That's why whenever we do the technology nanoparticles, when we synthesize, always we will go for analysis of by using this technology or tools, that particles whether they are belongs to that particular range, or they are nanoparticles or not. Okay, then coming to the nanotubes, this is one more very important, these nanoparticles they are going to use. Remember that these nanotubes they are going to be synthesized with a particles, with that particle two dimensions will be going to belongs to the less than 100 nanometers. Say for example, in any molecule, and any molecules, it's a two dimension is belongs to the nano size or scale, that is a less than 100 nanometer. Then such a molecules we are going to use for the nanotubes. How these nanotubes look like, just you see the pictures of here. Just if you take a small piece of pipe, okay, and any plastic pipe if you take, so how it will be hollow and how it will be very cylindrical, similarly these nano tubes are. But remember, these nanotubes, the surface, that is a two-dimensional surface, have this range, that is a nano size. Then these this carbon nanotubes, they are allotropes and a carbon which are cylindrical, okay, nanostructure, and they have a tremendous applications, these nanotubes, okay, which they are synthesized. Then what properties makes the so much of important of these nanotubes are, so they are highest strength weight ratio. So if you take a strength and weight ratio, they are very high, and it will be going to create the light weight of in a spacecrafts and all. If any material if you want to do, always we feel very heavy, like if it is a lightweight or if it is a strength is very less, then we feel very comfortable, because for example in aircraft, if they are preparing or synthesizing some any parts, during that time we need a very light weight. Okay, so in such a part they will be going to use. Then especially this cancer treatment, these carbon nanotubes, they can since they are in a nano range, and there's a surface volume ratio will be going to less, and they can easily penetrate or enter into the cell membrane. So that's why we can use these carbon nanotubes as a cancer treatment therapy, because we can coat a drug or to these nanotubes, and we can treat the cancer patient with the targeted cancer cells. And also in an electrical resistance to change the significantly some of the sensors, no all of we are using some of the medical devices and all, they have a sensors. So for that also we are going to use this nano tubes, that is a carbon nano tubes. And these carbon nanotubes also we are going to use even in bicycle components. There are different companies I mentioned here, like where they will be going to use these nano tubes to synthesize the bicycle components, and also they will be going to use some of the boards. Okay, the company which they are going to synthesize construct these boards, and also they will be going to use these particles, just because they are lightweight and all. And also they will be going to have in a small some of the chips, no, okay. And also they will be going to use in some less heat emitting instruments and all, they will be going to use. And in an electric cables and wires also they will be going to use these nanotubes also. There are so many applications, and even solar cells also they will be going to use these nanotubes, and even in the fabrics also, so to construct it. Then nanorods, this is another nanoparticles, the quantum dots we are going to call it as. It is also dimensions ranging from 1 to 100 nanometer, that's why we will call it as a nanoparticles. And their structure will be like this, and even this is what the same analysis, so with the scale how these rods they will be going to look. And so what is the importance of these nanorods or a quantum dots? In a display technology we can use, all of you, like whenever we enter to the bus or a digital board we might have seen, right? Like so they have typed something and it will be displaying and all. So in a display technology, not only there, in a many of the display technology, in a smart board or whatever we are going to call it as, that is what, because of this nanotechnology they incorporated there. Then in a micro electromechanical system also, MEMS system also, they will be going to use this nano rods. And even in the cancer therapy again it is the same, like it will be going to share the same application. Okay, so coming to the nanobots, what are these nanobots? Like look at here the boats. When what is the like meaning of the boat? Like it will be going to carry something. Okay, so these are the nanoparticles. Their size is no doubt less than 100 nanometer, and they looks like a boat. And the boat means like always it is carrying something, right? So these ports they will be going to use to carry the drug or to detect some of the toxic components in an environment. So like in an environment, if there is any toxic components, or even in the detection, or even a different the bodies they will be going to use, even in our body also we can use for the drug delivery in a physiological system. And also in a biomedical instrumentation also, to detect a particular problems, or even to analyze also. These nanobots which we can use in environment, we can use in a drug delivery in a physiological system, or if there is any defect in the physiology, that also we can be detected. And even in biomedical instrumentation also we can use these nanobots. This is also belongs to the nanoparticles. Then coming to how we can synthesize these nanoparticles. So approach of nanoparticle synthesis, there are of two. That is, one is top to down and one is bottom up approach. So what is this top down approach? Look at your diagram. If it is a bulk, any material, if it is a bulk, if you split that, or if you break that into small pieces and make it a powder, and in that is the second step. Then after that again make it into small pieces like in a powder form. In that powder form, what that particles are there, if you do the scanning electron or any analysis to elucidate the structure of that, if the structure is belonging to and less than 100 nanometer, and those particles are the nanoparticles, means that's why we call it as a top down approach, means from the large size to a small nanoparticles we are synthesizing. This is the approach what we are going to call it as a top down approach. Okay, then what is the bottom up approach, means like an atom and a molecule which is a less than even 1 nanometer, if you take that a small powders or a small particles atom whatever it may be, construct them into a cluster, and once it is constructed the cluster, a group of that molecules, then you check the particle size, characterize that particle size. If it is belongs to the less than 100 nanometer, then again these nanoparticles we can call it as nanoparticles, and we can use for further. And this approach, synthesizing these nanoparticles from the atom, from the very small molecules to and up to nanoparticles, this we are going to call it as a bottom up approach, means bottom up, okay, top down. So this is like vice versa. Fine. So best example I want to quote for this, a top down approach means take a protein molecules, break them into small pieces, that an amino acids we will be going to get. Again you break the amino acids, and what that we a molecule we are going to get, that you do for the characterization, that will be the nanoparticle. Okay, first protein to amino acids to then amino acids components, okay, whatever we will be going to get. Then coming to the bottom up approach means take an amino acid or even less than that amino acids what components we have, okay, carboxylic group or whatever it may be, so build them into an amino acid. Then later these amino acids or even proteins, if you synthesize, if that protein is size is belongs to less than 100 nanometer, then that particles we can have a nanoparticle. Say for example, best example is low molecular weight glycoproteins, that is an antibodies what we are going to call it as. This is the best example I can give from my side, like a top down approach and bottom up approach. These are the two approach of synthesizing the nanoparticle. Again it is the same top up, and some different examples I have given. Okay, so coming to the materials used to synthesize these nanoparticles or a nano devices and all, what are the materials they will be going to use, and why they use that materials, what is the characteristic of that material. So zinc oxide they will be going to use. It is a for the repellent purpose, okay, and also it is an hydrophobic, and even in cosmetics and some of the stain resistance also they will use. Okay, if they use the zinc oxide, any stain or any thing, it is fall down, it will be going to resistant, you can wipe, just it will be not going to absorb. And silver ions they will be going to use for the healing property, like anything which you synthesize with these nanoparticles, so it has to be healed. That's why they will be going to, or even so if they are using for the medical purpose also, so for healing property they will be going to use some of the silver ions. Then aluminum silicate also they will be going to use for the stitching the for the scratching resistance, like if any surfaces which they can scratch, and also for the resistant to that they will be going to use these aluminum silicates by coating that surface and all. You might have seen even in some of the mechanical bike, or if you take, or in any car, or even some aircrafts or boat materials, they are resistant from the scratch. Why? Because aluminum silicate, this nanoparticle, they are used on the surface, that surface is coated with that, that's why there is no any scratches, something like that. And gold ion, if you take the chips for the fabrications or drug delivery, see most of the people they will be going to use the this gold particles and even silver particles for the applications. Okay, coming to the applications of this nanotechnology, if you take the application of nanotechnology, so it has a diversified in its application. We cannot discuss all these things. Say in a medical is there, drug, energy, nanotechnology, even in devices, in optical energy. Okay, defense also we can, bioengineering, cosmetics also we are going to use, and also for the fabrics like in a textile and all, to fabricate the lot of things which we can use the nanoparticles. The nanotechnology in drugs, yes, in a cancer, most accepted, and people are already, realize the importance of these nanoparticles to deliver the drug. The nanobots or even some of the nanoparticles which are coated with the drug, they will be going to targeted for the cancer cells. Okay, so I'm not going to go in detail how these nanoparticles will be going to coated with the drug, how they will be going to injected, how this drug will be delivered to a particular cell. That is an again itself is a big, the mechanism. Then nanotechnology in fabrics, that is what in a textile industry. Look at here, if we like white shirt which any dye or anything, it is fall down, so again just you can wipe up, it will be not going to absorb. Why? Because this textile industry, they will be going to use these nano materials or nanoparticles to synthesize or to coat these text during the fabrications, so that they will be going to repel the dye or any tea coffee it is falling on that, it will be not going to absorb. Just like I have given an example of lotus leaf, right? If anything, if you like a drop in that lotus leaf, it will be not at all going to absorb. Just just you wipe, or if you turn it, it will be going to fall down. So like that technology they are going to use. Even the one more best example is, all of we are going to wear the raincoat, right? So when we wear the raincoat, if you go in water or you put a water spell something on that, it will be not going to absorb. Why? What is there in that textile material? How they designed that? Again, they used the nanotechnology. Then that's why in the second diagram you look at here, it is a water droplet, and below is the textile. How you see the it is the zoomed, or even in electron microscope, if they checked, it is in water drop if you consider, and below is the white color is the text, and how see the water molecules, they will be repelled with because of this nanoparticle coated in that textile industry during the fabrication of that textile and all. There are so many examples like that. So nanotechnology in mobile, everyone we are going to use the mobile, and a lot of nanotechnology they are using in the mobile also. Okay, different companies they will be going to use. See, we can tilt, or we can even bend the mobile some extent, and there also they will be going to use, or even some of the so wires, or that what the interior materials for the transistor and all they are going to use. They will be going to use this nano technology, that marking will be super hydrophobic, this making extremely dirt repellent, like any dust particles, or the dirty particles and all, to repel, because we have to keep our mobile into a very clean, so they will be going to use some of the nanoparticles. Stitching also, so they will be going to use. Then coming to this nanotechnology in electronics, again here also in electronics fields also this nanotechnology is entered, and there a lot of this the conductivity, and also some of the small spaces they will be going to use for the synthesis of these materials which are a parts of this electronics. Look at here, like some 2 to 3 pictures I added, like how they will be going to use these nanoparticles for the conductivity, and to prepare the chips and all, to fabrication of the chips, and the flexible plastics also they are going to use, and even some e-paper display and all these things. Then nanotechnology in computer, yes, in the computer technology also nanotechnology they are going to use. Here the carbon nanotubes, already I shown the carbon nanotubes how they will be. These carbon nanotubes are even quantum dots, or like some robots, okay, nano robots and all. So these are different nanoparticles, they will be utilized in a different area, but in a computer field they will be going to use the carbon nanoparticles, since their 2 dimensions are belongs to less than 100 nanometers, so that we can use in the computer system and computer technology for display. So whatever the monitor which we are going to use, and even whatever the circuits which they are built in electric field or in a computer and all, so it is all like a coated with this nanoparticles, or even for the conduction of or semiconductor, or so such a materials which they are going to synthesize, they will be going to use these nano particles. Even nano rads also they will be going to use. Okay, so these are the some of the examples again. Okay, what are the advantages of these carbon nanotubes? They are very fast, and smaller, very quickly it can transmit, and also it will be very smaller, okay, lightweight, and it will be feasible to adopt a very small as a chips what we are going to use, or even a memory cards which we are have a, so there that the technology to fabricate this memory technology and all, so we can use the nano materials. So how in that is a way this nanotechnology will be going to use. There are other than these applications, okay, cutting tools, they will be going to made different approaches to synthesize these nanoparticles and its applications, even in biological field as well as in different emerging areas. The nanotechnology in India, so IIT Mumbai is the premier organization. Okay, Indian Institute of Technology Mumbai is the one of the premier organization in the field of nanotechnology in India. So they are doing somewhat cutting-edge research and developing a lot of technology which are related to the nanotechnology. And the government is also initiated a lot of programs, and a lot of fund is sanctioned to this field nanotechnology to carry out the basic and as well as applied research to solve the environmental issues, and also for the in the medicine, like because every 6 months we are having a challenges either from the environment, or every 6 months we are getting a new diseases. Okay, there is a for especially for the life science, and we should not restrict like we are a biotechnology, we are a microbiology, like that collectively we are a life science. Okay, so science is interdisciplinary. Every 6 months once we have a lot of challenges in environment, okay, and also for the health issues, so that whatever it may be, like a nanotechnology, or even tomorrow one more technology may come, but we have to work together and we have to contribute a lot to the field of science and technology, whether it is a nanotechnology or biotechnology, and finally we have to come up with a solution for a particular problem for the sustainability, because environmentally is sustaining, then we will also going to sustainable, or else it is very difficult. Then what are the disadvantages, or about this nanotechnology? So far we are talking about the advantages, applications, characterization, different nanoparticles, but what are the disadvantages? Yes, every the science, or even if you take in every person have a very good and bad, but how you will be going to make use of that, that will be going to play a very important role. Yes, even of course the nanotechnologies also have the some of the the disadvantages also, so that we will be going to discuss. Then what is the possibilities of in future? Like in future, only one sentence we can say that the very smallest thing in future will be the a biggest one. Like what is the very small, like it belongs to the nano, so that will be a big solution. But in a physical wise it may be the small, but this will be the a big solution in future. Only this sentence we can say. So it is that sentence or statement itself, it will be going to talk a lot more. Okay, again this is the so one more an instrument, like how it will be going to control, like so all of we are going to use some of the instruments, like how they will be going to control by using this nanotechnology chips, how they will be going to incorporate it in that, how they will be going to regulate, and also one more example. Then I told about disadvantages. Yes, these nanoparticles, they can get enter into through a body, to skin or whatever it may be, and they will be going in the system. When they are entered, they will be creating a lot of these free radicals in our body, and that will be going to cause the cell damage. If too much of free radicals are synthesized or creating, then it will be going to damage to the cell, and it will be very harmful. And this nanoparticles, it will be unable to cross the blood brain barriers. So there are some barriers in our system, like so if it is passing the cell membrane, it will be useful for us for the drug delivery or something like that. But if they are crossing the the blood barriers or something like that in a brain and all, again sometimes it will be going to affect also. So there are some limitations of and even the nano bombs also, like they will be going to explore. So yes, of course, how we will be going to this nanotechnology, like it is a matchbox, like how we are going to use. So I can quote that. So whether we can use for the best, for the welfare, and you can positively, yes, of course, or if you can use for a negative also, it is there. But the thing is, like we have to handle, that's why we have a lot of safety and ethical guidelines. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you so much, sir. The session was very wonderful and interesting with lots of information about nanotechnology for sustainable development, which was sure helpful for all the participants to understand the same in depth. Sir began with definition, size variants with micro, macro, and nano, briefed about timeline of nanostructures and systems, nanometer, nanomaterial, nanoscience by quoting beautiful examples. Along with, Sir added important tools and technologies used in the field of the same. Various applications of nanotechnology in the field of drugs, fabrics, mobile electronics, computers, and also mentioned about the present scenario of nanotechnology in our country with possibilities of the same in our future. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening our participants by sharing your knowledge towards nanotechnology for sustainable development. We are really very grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts towards the same. Thank you once again for sparing your valuable time with us, sir. Moving on with an interactive session, there are a few questions by the participants. I like to put forth the same in front of you, sir. The question is by Aishwarya Mathur. She is asking that after curing the cancer, do these nanoparticles degenerate in the body or they remain in the body? If they remain, do they cause any problem to the body?
No, in this case, like if it is really harmful to the body, we were not at all synthesizing the nanoparticles. That materials itself we are not going to use as a like a nanoparticles, and we won't use, even though it is an advantage, we will be not going to use for the drug delivery. But these things are not at all. Even in gene transformation, in genetic engineering and all, we will use the gold particles, or the silver particles and all. If they are coated with the drugs and all, and that it will be treated with the targeted cells, they will be reach that cell, because these particles, gold particles or nanoparticles which are coated with this drug, they will be going to reach the targeted cells. They can pass through that cell membrane, that is semi-permeable membrane. So once they deliver the drug, they will be done their work, but they will be not going to be persist in the cell or a body for the longer time. If it is so, also it will be not going to affect. Say for example, gold particles and silver particle, if you synthesize the nanoparticle with this, it will be not a toxic to the biological system. Of course, copper and all, it is some extent toxic, but it is a nanoparticles, no. So it will be like negligible, and it will be not at all toxic, especially gold. That's what I did not mention, the copper nanoparticles. So that is have a different application in other than this physical, chemical. There it will have an application.
Okay, sir. There is a question by Bhavna Patil. She is asking that how many antibodies per nanoparticles would result in effective targeting of an antigen?
Okay, this is a very good question. Like nanoparticles itself, it is already in a very small size. See, the nanoparticles, they are the size belongs to less than 100 nanometer. If you take a like some liquid like 100 microliter of this nanoparticles you take, and 100 microliter of antibodies, monoclonal antibodies, or antibodies, just you coat with this nanoparticles, and together that 200 microliter you can load it, or you can give a dose. So here it is not like that one antibody we have taken and one antibody we have coated with one nanoparticle. It's not like that. Why? Because these are even we cannot see microscopical also. It is very difficult to see some sem and stem, some advanced microscope we can see antibodies also we cannot see, nanoparticles also we cannot see. It is not like one nanoparticle, it is accumulating the 2 3 and all. If you look at the size of the antibody, So look at the size of this antibodies, what size it is, and what size of that nanoparticles. Again, it is depending upon the size of the nanoparticle, whether it is a 70 nanometer or 80, 50, but it should less than 100. So it is not like one nanoparticle for one antibody. That's what, like 100 microliter of this nanoparticles in a liquid media and 100 microliter of this antibodies you mix together, and they will be going to head together maybe on one nanoparticle two antibodies or one antibody. That is depending upon the size. So it will be, because we cannot see all those things, but we can analyze. It is not behind our limit. If once you coat this nanoparticle with the antibodies, we can do the analysis under microscope and we can identify. Again, it is depending upon the size.
Okay, sir. There is one more question by Avinash. He is asking that many researchers synthesize silver nanoparticles, or actually they isolate some of the compound from plant to coat silver. As the application part, they go for antimicrobial activity. And his question is, silver has already antimicrobial property. That's why our ancestors, king used to have food in silver plates. Most important question is that how we can know that isolated compounds has microbial property is his question.
Okay, regarding the silver nanoparticle, yes, of course, like I told during my presentation, when we are synthesizing the silver nanoparticle with a biological system, let's say for example leaf they will take, or some microbes they will take, and they will add some silver or copper, and they will synthesize the nanoparticle. Most of the people, they will do UG projects and MSc project, like wherever I go, like for the presentation for MSc students as a Viva and all, simply they will do like they will add some mixture of all this carbon or this silver, or they will add a bacteria, or even if you take the leaf material, and color will be going to change. Yes, we synthesize the nanoparticle and all. Actually, this is not true. Why? Because even I can accept this is a true, like when you take that nanoparticles, do for the filtration, and you do a further analysis of these things, then you prepare the concentration, check it for the lethal effect also, because whether the nanoparticle is giving the antimicrobial activity, or that silver itself is giving the antimicrobial activity, that you have to identify. And one more very important thing here is that when the silver nanoparticles are synthesized, what is the silver nanoparticle? It's the particle size is at atomic level is changed, so its a surface volume ratio is changed automatically. A significant of physical property it is gained. That's why it is a nanoparticle. That's why it is giving the antimicrobial activity. You should have a clear distinction between that, whether a silver or this is a silver nanoparticle. Once they changed their size, then they have acquired this antimicrobial activity. That is need to be done.
Thank you, sir. There is one more question by Sophia. She's asking that there are lots of researchers working in the field of nano and drug delivery, but then very few products are there in the market like Abraxane, etc. Most of them fail in the clinical trials. What is the reason for this? What is the reason behind this?
Yeah, that's what I told. No, like in 2000 century and all, like if you take this nanotechnology, people are trying to apply in everywhere. Like even for if you are taking medicine, like in all the drug delivery system, it will be not going to work, because we have a huge complex physiological system. Preclinical, any drug which is coming, when we have to do these preclinical trials and all, it may be not be successful. Why? Because see, I told very clearly that this nanotechnology application itself is a limited so I cannot say that if I synthesize the nanotechnology, I can use this nanotechnology for the application in wherever it is needed. It has its limits. It may work or it may not work. It may work in cancer, it may not work in the malaria. That's why it will be not. So we cannot expect everything from that nanotechnology.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for your wonderful explanation for all the questions, and I hope the questions are clear for the participants. Now, I request Organizing Secretary Srimati S.N. Inamda Madam to propose vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Resource Person, Dr. Hanmantappa Sir, respected Principal, Srimati J.S. Kavlekar Madam, IQAC coordinator and life member Dr. Satisha sir, Professor Nanjapnavar, life member of KLE Society, all my dear colleagues and participants. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks on this occasion. I, Swapna Inamdar, lecturer, Department of Biotechnology, on behalf of Raja Lakamagoda Science Institution, would like to express my deep sense of gratitude to our distinguished resource person, Dr. Hanmantappa sir, for sparing his valuable time and enlightening our participants with thought-provoking talk on nanotechnology for sustainable development with informative slides and detailed explanation. Thank you, sir. I would like to express a heartfelt gratitude to our beloved principal, Dr. Srimati J.S. Kavlekar Madam, for her constant support and encouragement to organize this online webinar. Thank you, Madam. My sincere gratitude to Dr. Satisha MP Sir, IQAC Coordinator and Life Member of KLE Society, and Professor Nanjapnavar Sir, Life Member of KLE Society, for their constant support. Thank you, sirs. I would like to extend heartfelt thanks to our convener and coordinator of Department of Biotechnology, Srimati D.S. Shetter, for her guidance and support. Thank you, Madam. I would like to thank Srimati Priyanka Kamath Madam for being the host of today's webinar. Thank you, Madam. I extend warm thanks to all the faculty who supported for conducting the webinar, without whom the event was not possible, especially Srimati Pooja Melvanki Madam, Sushma Madam and Archana Madam. Thank you all. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants for their active participation. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, Hanmantappa sir. It was really nice.
Thank you,
Very
madam.
nice.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Really, I
Yeah.
was also happy. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you all being here. Thanks again for joining us for today's national webinar. And I'm sure that you all have gained more information about nanotechnology. So feedback link is shared. Please fill the form to get the e-certificates within 2 working days. So here we declare the end of the webinar. Have a good day and take care, everyone.